The kettle whistled loudly, steam curling from its spout. The cups and saucers were neatly set on trays, biscuits arranged on plates, and beautifully wrapped hampers stacked on a corner table. Everything was ready for the women's meeting at Mrs. King's elegant home. Everything except the guests, who were yet to arrive. Mrs. King glanced at the ornate wall clock. 1 o'clock. She gave her honey-toned complexion a final touch of powder and tucked a stray curl behind her ear. Just then, a sharp knock echoed from the front door. Finally, she breathed, hurrying to answer. Soon, her living room buzzed with laughter and conversation as women settled in, discussing how to support widows, help underprivileged children, and improve their community. Meanwhile, the children played in an adjoining room, their chatter rising like a joyful chorus. But not everyone was happy. 9-year-old Sarah sat quietly in a corner, clutching her hands together. She had tried to join the group, but Mrs. King's teenage sons, Brian and Vincent, had taken over the circle of children with their loud storytelling. "Can I tell a story too?" Sarah asked softly when they paused. Brian's eyes swept over her with disdain. "Who said you could talk here?" he sneered. "This isn't your mum's club, you don't belong with us." The other children giggled, their faces lit with mockery. Sarah's chest tightened, her eyes strung, but she swallowed her tears and quietly walked away. Moments later, Sarah appeared in the living room where the women were still engrossed in conversation. "I want to go home," she blurted, her voice trembling. The room fell silent. "Sarah," her mother scolded, eyes flashing with anger. "Don't interrupt us like that, go back and play." Before Sarah could turn away, Mrs. King walked over and knelt beside her. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "what's wrong?" Sarah's lips quivered, and for a moment, she hesitated, but Mrs. King's warm eyes reassured her. They said I don't belong," Sarah whispered. Mrs. King's face darkened. "Who said that?" Without waiting for an answer, she strode to the children's room and called for Brian. "Brian," she said firmly, "Sarah tells me you made her feel unwelcome. Is that true?" Brian squirmed. I was just joking. Jokes shouldn't hurt people," Mrs. King replied. "Excluding others isn't funny, it's unkind. Everyone deserves to feel included, no matter who they are. Imagine how you'd feel if no one let you join in." Brian lowered his head. "I'm sorry, Sarah," he mumbled. "We're sorry too," Vincent added, and the rest of the children murmured their apologies. "Would you like to tell your story now?" Brian asked. Sarah's face lit up. "Yes." As Sarah launched into her story, the children listened eagerly, laughing and clapping at her funny twists and clever ending. For the first time that afternoon, Sarah felt seen, valued, and included. Moral of the story: inclusion is a powerful act of kindness. Making others feel welcome shows respect, empathy, and true strength of character.